graders. This is Eureka Math. We are in Module 5 and this is Lesson 20. And we're going to talk about all of those shapes that we have been learning about in the last few lessons. And we're going to classify them in a hierarchy today, okay? And we've been doing that a little bit as we go along. So today we're just going to make sure we know all of the rules and all of the attributes of all of the shapes, okay? This is something that you do need to know, especially for the exam. So please pay attention. Let's go to the Learn pages. Okay, write your name. And true or false. If the statement is false, rewrite it to make it true. Okay. All trapezoids are quadrilaterals. Okay. So here's a trapezoid, and the rule for trapezoid is at least one set of parallel lines has 4 sides and 4 angles. Those are the rules of a quadrilateral, all right? 4 sides, 4 angles, and here it has to have at least one set of parallel lines. So, is this true? Yes, true. Okay. All parallelograms are rhombuses. Okay, so parallelogram has 2 sets of parallel sides. It doesn't matter what their length is, and it doesn't matter what their angles are. It just has to have 2 sets of parallel sides. But a rhombus has to have all sides equal. Okay, so this is going to be false because some parallelograms are rhombuses, but not all parallelograms are rhombuses, okay? So I'm going to rewrite this sentence to make it true. Some parallelograms are rhombuses. Now, all rhombuses are parallelograms. We could rewrite it that way too. Okay. So if you wanted to flip these 2 words, you could write it in another way to still make it true. You could say all rhombuses are parallelograms. Okay. And either of those sentences would make this true. Okay. Next one, all squares are trapezoids. All squares are trapezoids. So a trapezoid has at least one set of parallel lines. Okay. All squares have 2 sets of parallel lines, 90-degree angles, and all sides are equal. So are all squares trapezoids? Yes, that is true. All rectangles are squares. Okay. Now you may recall this from a video a few days ago where I said not all rectangles are squares, but all squares are rectangles. So here we could either say some rectangles are squares, or we could flip it completely and we could say all squares are rectangles. And that would be true because the rules for rectangles are 4 sides, 2 sets of parallel lines, and 90-degree angles. Okay? And squares are 4 sides all the same with 90-degree angles. Okay, so this one is false, but we just made it true with our new statement. Rectangles are always parallelograms. Well, the rules for parallelograms is 2 sets of parallel lines. So rectangles always have 2 sets of parallel lines, so that is true. All parallelograms are trapezoids. Okay, trapezoid only has to have one, remember, And a parallelogram has to have two, so that's trapezoid. See, those two aren't parallel. But parallelograms have to have two sets of parallel lines. So this is in fact false. We could say some parallelograms are trapezoids. Okay. Can we say all trapezoids are parallelograms? No. Wait a minute. Am I making a mistake? I am. They are. I was thinking the words were flipped around. Okay. You have to be careful, this hierarchy, right? I apologize for that. I was thinking it was the other way around. All parallelograms have at least two, and trapezoids have at least one, so yes, the answer is true. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you. All rhombuses are rectangles. Well, rhombus, the only rule for rhombus is that they have to have 4 equal sides, right? They don't have to have right angles, and rectangles all have to have right angles. And rectangles don't have to have equal sides, but rhombuses do have to have equal sides. So I'm going to say this one is definitely false, and I'm not confused this time. And let's see, all rhombuses are rectangles. Well, if they have 90-degree angles, they could be. So some rhombuses are rectangles. And a rectangle could be a rhombus if it has four sides that are the same size. So we could say some rectangles are rhombuses, but they can never be all. Okay? Kites are never rhombuses. Well, a kite has these two lines are the same size and those two lines are the same size, right? And a rhombus has all 4 sides the same size. Well, all rhombuses, well, let's see. Some kites could be rhombuses, right? Kites are never rhombuses? No. Some kites are rhombuses. And in fact, I would say that all rhombuses are kites. All squares are kites. Well, if the rule for kite is this side is the same and this side is the same and that side is the same, all squares are kites. Yeah. Now, not all kites are squares, but all squares are kites. All kites are squares? No. Some kites are squares. All rhombuses are squares? No. But all squares are rhombuses. Some rhombuses are squares, but all squares are rhombuses. Okay. All right, fill in the blanks. A, B, C, D is a trapezoid. A, B, C, D, and it's a trapezoid because this line and this line are parallel, okay? Find the measurement listed below. So we know that this is 90 degrees, and we know this is 90 degrees. And we know this is 40 degrees. Okay. So if the inside of a quadrilateral has to have 360 degrees, this is 180 plus 40 would be 220. Hang on. 220. That would make this angle, it's an obtuse angle, 140 degrees. Okay, do you see how I found that? 90 plus 90 plus 40 is 220, and I know the entire thing has to be 360, so I just subtracted, and I got 140. So ABCD is a trapezoid. Find the measurements listed below. Okay, the angle A, that's this one, is 140 degrees. And angle D, which they didn't give us, but we can see, and we know because this and this are parallel lines, and if this is 90-degree angle, that has to be a 90-degree angle. Okay, what other names does this figure have? What other names does that figure have? Well, it's a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides and 4 angles. It's a trapezoid because it has 2 parallel lines, at least 2 parallel lines. What else could it be? It couldn't be a square, couldn't be a rectangle, it couldn't be a rhombus, it couldn't be a kite. I think it's just a quadrilateral. I think that's just the only other name we can use for it. If you can think of another one, let me know. RECT is a rectangle. RECT. Find the measurements listed below. Line T to E. Okay, so if this is 11 inches, this is a rectangle. So this and this have to be the same. So this is also 11 inches. Okay. And line T to E. Now this, if this is 13, I'm assuming this is 13 here. Then that would make this section from here to here also 13. And that got cut in half, so 13 plus 13 is 26, okay, inches. Line RC, R to C, well, it's a rectangle, so they're the same. So that's also 26 inches. Line C to T, well, I know that this side is 11 inches, so this side is also going to be 11 inches. Angle ERM, Okay, so this whole thing is going to be 90, but we just cut this off into 35. So 90 minus 35 is 555. Okay, and angle CTR, well, that's easy. That's this whole thing. That's 90 degrees. Okay. Because all rectangles have 90 degrees. What other names does this figure have? Well, it's definitely quadrilateral. It has at least one set of parallel lines, so it's also a trapezoid. It has 2 sets of parallel lines, so it's a parallelogram. It's not a kite, it's not a rhombus, it's not a square. I think that's it. Quadrilateral, trapezoid, parallelogram. Parl, P-A-R-L, is a parallelogram. Find the measurements listed below. Line AL. A to L. Okay, so we know from A to M is 8, and we know it got cut in half, so that means this is also 8. That makes this 16 centimeters. Line PR P to R, well, we know this side is 9 centimeters and this side is also 9 centimeters. So 9 plus 9 is 18 centimeters. Angle ARL. ARL. Okay, so they want to know that angle right there. And we know that opposite corners on parallelograms are the same. So if this one is 50 plus 25 is 75, that makes this also 75. Angle PAR, that's this one. Okay, so we know that this angle and this angle together are going to equal 180, so that must be 105, right? And RLP is the opposite of this angle, so that's also 105. Okay, what other names does this figure have? Okay, well, it is a quadrilateral because it has 4 sides and 4 angles. It is a trapezoid because it has at least one set of parallel lines. It is a parallelogram, which we already decided. It's not a rectangle because there's no 90-degree angles. It's not a square because all the sides aren't the same. It's not a rhombus because all sides aren't the same. It's not a kite because congruent sides aren't the same. I think that's it, quadrilateral and trapezoid. If I'm missing one, let me know. All right. Okay, there's your homework. And here's your exit ticket. Use your tools, meaning your ruler and a straight edge and measuring. Fill in the blanks with an attribute. There is more than one answer to some of these. Okay, so make a square, answer the questions. This might be a little challenging, so take your time. And then come back and you can finish your homework. There's our flow chart. So all quadrilaterals have 4 sides and 4 angles, right? Yes. And 4 right angles, if it does have 4 right angles, yes, then what would it be? And no, then we're going to go down here, okay? This is cool. You can fill in the blanks, find all the shapes. Okay, number 2, there's some more angles and shapes for you. And those are all the names, okay? Quadrilaterals, trapezoids, parallelograms, rectangles, rhombuses, kites, squares, and polygons. Okay, and you can match those with the shapes below, I think. No, maybe not. I don't know what those shapes are for. Okay, we'll talk about that in class. But can you think of all the rules for all of these? Okay, go through them and we'll go through it in class. All right, great job today. Have a good afternoon.